Do men need anything from women? Not want, right? We could talk about what they want ideally, but do they need anything? And I got the impression, I mean, that the answer was no from him. And I'm just curious because I didn't quite see it that way. We can talk about that, but what would you say to something like that?
It's funny when you use people kind of get like itchy under the collar whenever you use the term need. Like there's want and need. Like you don't need a woman, you want a woman, or I don't need no man. I want a man, but I don't need a man. I've fielded that question so many times, and like again, sorry, everybody drink, but like whenever I was when I was on Dr. Phil. One of the things I said on Dr. Phil's was that, men are superfluous now, right? Like they're nice to have around, but you don't actually need them. And he couldn't, it was like I was speaking like Swahili. Like they had no concept of anything that I was talking about. I go, yeah, on my shows, I mean, I have women say we don't need men, but we want men.
But that's not true.
Yeah, yeah,
we do, and I think objectively,
I agree.
Society,
that's the message that I'm
right. But that's what I'm trying to get at. Objectively, if you look at life, if you're an honest female out there and you look at your life and you say, "Do I need a man?" The answer is objectively 100% yes. Now, not only a man in your life, right? In your to be with, to be in the home with you as the protector, as the all of it, but in life in general, we need men, right? You would have no roads, you would have no bridges, you would have no infrastructure, you would have no
practical, pragmatic perspective. Yes.
If somebody bombs us, what are the women going to go to the front lines? I mean, it's laughable, right? We as a society need men, and in the home, women need men too. If something goes wrong in your house, somebody's like robbing your home, you're going to hide behind your man. I can't even. My husband will lift the washer dryer and fix, like he's just this strong he-man guy. I need him. Without him, I would be in trouble. But if you flip it around, and that's what I'm saying, if you said, do men need women if they want to have babies? Sure. Yes, right? Yes, you do. But if you take that out of it, do you need us? Is that stuff that we give you, like the loyalty and the devotion and the affection and the support, is that a need, or is that just,
or is that a
nice?
Want? Is it nice,
but not, and you know what I'm saying? It is a bit different.
Well, so Myron has, and I think probably Andrew probably would align with this as well, is there's this kind of pervasive message, I think, where it's like, well, women need men and men don't need women. And from their perspective, I can understand that, but also you got to remember, like, from a reproductive perspective, yeah, we need women. But from a practical perspective, probably not. But also, there's sort of the intangible stuff too. So, like when people ask me, "Well, Rollo, what do you vet for in a woman?" Right? What do we need? What would like describe your ideal woman? And so I'll say stuff like, I need a woman with insight. I need a woman that understands when she's wrong and knows when to like apologize, or to be able to sort of look into certain things that maybe I have a blind spot to, right? That I'm not going to see as like as a man, okay? And I'm not speaking for all men, but I'm just speaking for myself as a man. When you look at, like, say, fMRI studies of men's brain scans and women's brain scans, and you look at how the synapses are like sort of like, switched off, like men are usually like up and down and women are cross, the hemispheres and stuff. If you take those, and they've done this too, you take those and you superimpose them on top of each other, it's almost like a perfect complement to if you took one person, you put them together like that, it's a perfect complement, right? And it really kind of gets back to what I've always said is that, we may not actually have a particular need for the other, but we do better together than we are apart.
I agree.
And so when you look at the sexes, like, we are very, very different. And this is a thing I've harped on for a very long time, because there's too many people like this. There's this blank slate understanding about men and women where we're just the same, which just the plumbing's different, which is sort of this legacy of this, late 60s, early 70s era blank slate Jungian psychology bullshit about how we're basically all the same, and men can be women and women can be men, and we just have to get in touch with the feminine side, get in touch with the masculine side. And it's like, no, How about this? How about I'm a man and I have a masculine side and that's all there is to it. And you're a woman and you have a feminine side and that's all there is to it. And when we come together, your weaknesses are covered by my strengths, and my blind spots and my weaknesses happen to be also complemented by your innate talents, your innate abilities, your innate proclivities as a woman. So there's again, we are better together than we are apart. We're innate natural complements to each other. And I think that if we're just going to say, well, men are these islands and we can just get along by ourselves and not have to worry about anything, I think that's very limiting. If we're going to say, is one more complementary than the other, is one more, I think it just sort of depends on the situation. What is the challenge? I don't believe in equality. I don't believe in equality between the sexes. I think that's been one of the biggest lies that's been perpetrated by this sort of new agey egalitarian bullshit that we've had to deal with really since the dawning of the post or the sexual revolution era. And primarily because people lose their shit whenever I say, oh, you don't believe in equality? No, I don't, because you don't define what equality means. Equality doesn't happen in a vacuum. Equality to what? I can't give birth. Oh, that's horribly unequal. I want to be equal. No, that the challenge is to give birth, and only women with wombs can give birth. Sorry, that's just how the mechanics work, right? Well, if I need my wife to go and lift, 2 5-gallon jugs of Sparkletts water, that's horribly unequal. I guess I'm going to have to go do that because I have more physical upper body strength than she does. She's not going to go raise hell on the White House lawn because she can't go lift 2 Sparkletts bottles. But that's the challenge. The challenge is who's better at lifting Sparkletts bottles, who's better at lifting or having a baby, who's better at there's certain challenges.
See, I agree with you 100%. When you say the right union, when you're talking about women being in their feminine, men being in their masculine, the right union, I believe is a beautiful thing. I agree with you, better together than apart. And I also really do feel that the right woman can greatly enhance a man's life. But here's the challenge, I think, and at the root of this whole problem. I think there is a deep female insecurity because we know at our core that we need for survival reasons at the most basic level of survival, we need, I'm not talking, take procreation out because I know people, well, women, yes, but at the most basic levels of survival, we need you because we're not as strong. We are more fragile. We need you for the really freaking hard stuff.
For protection, provisioning, and parental investment.
Right. If there's if a bomb goes off, I always say wartime, burglary, we get thrown on a desert island and it's now about survival. I think at our core, we know that. And many women hate that about themselves. They hate it. They don't want to marry the Terminator. They want to be the Terminator. They don't want to be in T1 where there's the damsel in distress and they're saved by the big strong guy. They don't want to do that anymore. They want to be, Sarah Connor in T2, and they want to do the killing. They want to be
they want to be the ass kicker by having this magical ability.
They want to be able to do what guys can do because we can't do it, right? And the thing is, I think it's creating this paradigm of now where you have society telling women, no, you can do it. But we know deep down inside, no, we can't. We're not as strong. You can take, my son, by the time he's 11 is going to be stronger than me. The kid eats organs for breakfast. He's pretty much stronger than me now. So it's just this. And I think if women would embrace that reality and just say, that's not my role. And I'm totally fine with that not being my role. But this over here, this motherhood stuff, this nurturing stuff, this is my role. And I'm going to sink into that. I think all of this craziness would go away, but because they're fighting so hard to do what guys can do, and they're so pissed about it. And that's why I asked this question initially, not because I don't believe that women are, deeply enhance men's lives and men deeply enhance women's lives, but because this basic principle of need due to survival is women are getting eaten alive by this reality that we're just not guys. We can't do all the stuff.